Now, I wanted to introduce our next speaker, who is yet another great friend and yet another great radio broadcaster. He does morning radio broadcasts. I was on his radio program, and now he does YouTube streams online, and that's Jamarl Thomas. And Jamarl Thomas, you told me before you came here, this has been the first public speech you've ever given.
Yeah.
I am really excited to see this. The first.
You used to be amusingly on your radio show
All the time on your morning broadcast, so I'm curious to see what you're like for an audience. But I'm sure it's going to be great, and you talk about really, really important issues every morning at your show. And you have very, very high-level guests, really high-level international experts on your program. So it's really an honor to have you here, Jamarl. Thanks for coming on in and being here to give a presentation. So welcome.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Yeah, no pressure. I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate Caleb for giving me an introduction to here. Yeah, first speech, first time. I've done radio for so many years, so for that matter, just my own channel, but I've never had the opportunity to speak. So no, this is awesome. John Wayne. I'll go with John Wayne. I'll start with that. John Wayne, when John F. Kennedy got elected, made the saying of, I didn't vote for him, he's my president, I hope he does well. And I felt that way when Trump got elected, that he's not my president, I didn't choose him, I didn't vote for him, but all things being equal, I want him to do well. There are things that Donald Trump was articulating that I backed and that I wanted him to back and put more emphasis on. And one of those things is the issue of war. I think it was Garland. Garland is the one who turned me on to that saying. He's like, I will go to war with arm in arm with any man, providing that man is doing good. And yes, it's not the exact same quote, but I'll go with it nonetheless. Because I think it's true. There's something to be said about somebody doing something good, doing something right. And Donald Trump, one of the things that he did right was, I'm going to end wars, not start them. Applause, right? Like, I don't. If it's Burries, you're going to do that and you're going to stand by that, then you have my support on that particular issue. It's not over, across the board, right? Yes, Donald Trump's going to do some horrible things in that office. I accept that. I understand that's going to be baked into it. By the same token, we have hundreds of thousands of people who are losing their lives in a modern war that never needed to take place, that is completely catastrophic. And when you ask the question of what was it for, I don't have an answer for that. And I will wager they don't have an answer for it either, at least not in real terms. It's like you get a value set in the country to which you operate, and you apply that value set to the rest of the world. And one of those main values is war is not necessarily a good thing. It should be something that we rebel against, that we don't necessarily want, but that is not the orthodoxy. You have a clown car, a sociopath, one after another, Matt Miller, Patel, Anthony Blinken, even the administration itself, in regards to the way that they organize their mindset and the way that they frame the rest of the world. And yet, Trump comes out, I'm going to end wars, not start them. And I remember even when he won, he said, I am going to make my mission to do what I say I'm going to do, especially on this issue of war and on this issue of peace. And so on that, the very specifics of it, he gets my applause for being willing to do so and to buck the orthodoxy in doing so. I'm glad you have this picture here. One of the things during Donald Trump's first administration was this willingness to go and talk to Kim Jong-un. I don't have this belief that Donald Trump is a dove. I do have this belief that he has a willingness and maybe even a want to make deals on these various issues in a way that the other party just doesn't. It's not on their radar. It's not in their mindset. They have this mindset of endless war. And if you remember when J.D. Vance was on the debate stage and they were going after J.D. Vance for Trump doing this, basically attacking the guy for going to make peace. And one of the things that I realized was that it's a possibility. Like, it's proof of concept. The idea that you could go, shake the man's hand, look the man in the eye, and say, I get that we have common interests. I get the bad things that you're going to have, that you care about, that you need. And I'm going to acknowledge those things and work with you on those things. And what did the Democratic Party say? Oh my God, he's stopping the dictators. Or what did the media say? How dare Donald Trump go and talk to Kim Jong-un? He's going to give credibility and legitimacy to Kim Jong-un. It's like, he's firing missiles into the Sea of Japan. It's a proof of concept. It shows that you can make peace with these groups. And yet the orthodoxy say, that's horrible, that's a bad idea, we don't necessarily like you doing that. I think they're out of their minds. I think it's a straight sociopath in regards to what they're willing to accept. You get the Ukraine war, and Trump says, I'm going to end that war should have never taken place. And what do the Democrats say? You're just going to let the dictators win. And so, from their point of view, you need to go out and throw your kids into the war. Meaning, you need your 18-year-olds to go out and fight in losing, completely lost battle. Because that is the position that the orthodoxy takes on the issue. Trump said, this is appalling. I can't believe we're doing this. NATO expansion was always a red line. And I say to myself, oh my God, that's the first time I ever heard somebody articulate something that's just flat fact true in our current political system, in our current political space. It's astonishing that it took Trump to say it. And, even the Gaza thing, when the Muslims went to Trump, and Trump said, I'm going to end this war. And Harris turned around and said, well, I am not going to make any adjustments or changes to what Joe Biden was doing on this front. And so it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean not going to make changes? You guys are back to your genocide. And even to the point of saying, that dangerous baby had to be killed because, it was a dangerous baby by that valiant soldier that did so. Over and over again, you would get one sociopath, one lunatic after the next, effectively saying, Israel has the right to defend itself, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what takes place. When you're pointing out, yeah, but you're killing tens of thousands of kids. Israel has the right to defend itself. Trump goes to the Muslim communities in their war. Now, I got to be honest, I didn't believe him on it. Under normal circumstances, he's been so obsequious to Israel. And yet, I was playing this clip for Garland where Donald Trump made this kind of honest assessment saying Netanyahu doesn't want to end the war. Basically, Netanyahu doesn't believe in peace. He doesn't necessarily want to deal. Whereas the Palestinians did. He's like, it blew his mind. And so it's like, okay, is that rattling around in his brain regardless of the position that he comes out with and enunciates? He, very straight before he even got into office, creates a ceasefire. A position that the Democratic Party had, the Democratic Party would never do. The idea of you're paying 70, 80% for the bombs, bullets, intelligence, the missile systems, you have special forces in, you give them political cover to, and yet you turn around and tell American public, we have no power over Israel. It's an independent nation, it can do whatever it wants. And yet, our press agencies was effectively running diplomatic and political cover for that government as it killed tens of thousands of babies, women, children, etc. We were culpable for what they were doing. And yet, Trump, the guy who was supposed to be completely in the back pocket of Netanyahu, says, I'm going to end the war. And before he even gets into office, sends this guy over there to say, I don't care what day it is. You're going to end this. And you're going to accept the deal that had been on the table for months that you didn't necessarily want and that you fundamentally rejected. That is a mind-blowing thing when you see that take place in regards to political space. And so, with the North Korea thing, that's going to be something else that I'm hoping that Donald Trump gets involved in and gets more willing to kind of bring these forces together, at the very least, bring these things and these conflicts to a close. So, this is not me rah-rahing Trump, and it's just a big Trump supporter. I'm not. Like I said, I didn't vote for him at all. And to be honest with you, after Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, didn't necessarily want to accept the results. I thought he should have been impeached and convicted for that. Because from my point of view, it's outlandish that we give you that much power. And then, there's a philosophical, ethical responsibility to use that power in ways that are not necessarily trying to stay in office beyond the term to which you lost. By the same token, the American public saw it that was a better alternative than the people he was running against. And that guy is the guy that it put into office. So from my point of view, this is not necessarily a situation where I'm thinking everything Trump is going to do is going to be great. It's not that. It's more so that of all the political people, he has random moments where he says things that are true. Obama killed 500,000 people in Syria. Ahmed reversed the regime change war. I'm like, wow, I can't believe he said that. And it is true. Yeah. I mean, you go item by item by item on these things. And every random blue moon, Trump will say something that just so happens to be true. There are danger points. Iran, Venezuela, Mexico. Agreed. 1,000%. By the same token, the orthodoxy also maybe not necessarily put these things that are crosshairs, but the reality of it is they seem to have this point of view that endless war is fun. And I think that is outlandish. And so, I don't know, if I get moments, I have no expectations of Trump, but there are things that I want. And when I'm in there talking to Tucker Carlson, he said these wars haven't served us. We spent $10 trillion. We have nothing to show for it in the Middle East. I applaud that. I should applaud that. And I guess my major point is to close. If the guy is doing something good, support him for it. Give him, vocal accolades. That's why I love this. And that's one of the reasons why I braved the cold in order to get here, walk his own blocks, shaking me like, damn it, but that's like I said, it's not about Ryan Trump. It's about looking at items and issues that he may actually, let's say this kind of Venn diagram in regards to that I am sick of these wars. I don't think these wars do us any justice. And to have Trump say the same thing when he's talking about these wars haven't served us. We spent $10 trillion in the Middle East. What do we have to show for it? I'm going to end wars. I'm not going to start them. And I said to myself, good. If nothing else, do that. That will be good. I don't want 500,000 people getting killed in Ukraine and they're sending their kids. I don't want us sending all of this money to Israel and they were killing and slaughtering all of these people. I don't necessarily want this notion of using Taiwan as a battering ram against China. Where Joe Biden said, yes, we would militarily defend Taiwan in a war that we would definitely lose, and ignoring the fact that the one China policy, by our own standing, that Taiwan is part of China. But again, we agitate against those things. I am sick of these wars. And I would argue that the American public is also sick of these wars. And if that is put on the table, in which it was, on the ballot, I think they would choose, let's stop these wars. Let's invest that money into us, into the American public itself. We can be a better nation, we can have a better world, and yeah, you can create win-win relationships, just like right here. A win-win relationship, a proof of concept that peace is possible if indeed you're willing to kind of acknowledge that other people have interests, and that our interests shouldn't necessarily supersede their interests in every situation because we're superior, we're just better, our morals are better, we're a democracy, because we're a democracy, we, or whatever particular leads to get to set rules-based order, whatever the hell that means. No, you can acknowledge that other countries have interests that maybe against your own, that doesn't necessarily need or require a war to reconcile, or for that matter, it doesn't require sanctions to reconcile. It's just being a person and being able to work, or let's say a country, and being able to work with other countries in a way of win-win relationships. I am a believer that those win-win relationships exist. And if Donald Trump, at the very least, to the degree to which he says he's going to do that, he should be supported for it. If he goes off the rails, hit him. Zero issue with it. But if he's doing something well, don't get into this ideological derangement syndrome where everything must be this reflexiveness against Trump, regardless of what it is, even when it's right. No. If the guy's doing something right, acknowledge him. Tell him it's right. And maybe he'll do more of that right, considering he's getting acknowledgement for it. So, from my point of view, again, I know I have to say, not necessarily a fan of Trump, but I am a fan of this willingness to engage and this willingness to buck the orthodoxy on the issue of war and peace and being able to reach out to the various countries, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, whether it's Korea, regardless of where these places are, to be willing to do so. And up to this point, it seems that he's shown a willingness. By the way, just to admit, they always say it took Nixon to go to China. And I'm hoping that this is true also for Iran. It takes Trump to go to Iran, or it would take Trump to make deals with Kim Jong-un, or it would take Trump to make deals with Putin in order to end the Ukraine war, however that war gets ended. I am deeply hoping that he was serious about this idea. I'm going to end wars, not start them. That is going to be my legacy. It's Donald Trump. I have no chains on me. This is my last term. I'm nearly hitting 80. So yeah, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And if indeed he does that, support him for it. Thank you all.
Wow, well, the first speech you ever did, that was tremendous.